Hi, I'm C.C. Péan, and this is Reclaiming Your Health. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Reclaiming Your Health. I am your host, C.C. Péan, and I'm so happy to be here with you this evening. It's been quite a week since I last saw you all, but I'm still here. And, interestingly enough and surprisingly enough, I so look forward to this time with you because I've been doing so many different other things. It kind of brings me back to my safe place and my creative place. And I know that a lot of you tune in because you're trying to find new ideas and different ideas and ways of eating healthier. And I'm so happy that I can serve in that capacity. So tonight we are doing something that I'm sure you all have heard of and maybe even tried. We are doing cauliflower wings. Now, let me say this first. Just the other day, I was talking with my husband about all of these plant-based kind of updates on things, right? And I was saying to him that I think that the products that have come the furthest have also been the ones we've had around the longest time, which are vegan cheese and plant milk. I remember when vegan cheese used to taste like plastic. And I would just say to people, don't even call it cheese, just call it something else. But vegan cheese has made so many incredible leaps and bounds. It's actually really delicious now. And the same thing with plant milk. There's so many different types of plant milk. There are plant milks that taste exactly like whole milk. These cauliflower wings are not going to taste like wings. Let me make that disclaimer. But it's a great creative way to bring nutrition into your diet and to replace it. Remember, our ultimate goal is to get to foods as close to their natural state as possible. So even if we were to buy gluten or seitan or soy wings, that's cool, but that's not where we're headed. That's like in the middle of our path. So today we're going to where our goal is. The great thing about this recipe and the great thing about cauliflower wings is they can be made numerous ways. This evening, we're going to do cauliflower wings that are baked at very high heat, 425 degrees. The same exact recipe, you can put it in an air fryer, and you can, at 400 degrees, you can do it for about 10 minutes. You can also deep fry it. So you've got 3 different ways that you can interpret this very same recipe. This evening, I'm doing it the healthiest way, which is oven baked. So a couple other things I want to tell you about this evening, which is great, is that this recipe, you can make it completely gluten-free. How do you do that? You can use gluten-free multi-purpose flour. And if you want to add a little extra crunchiness to it after you have made your dredge, you can even use gluten-free panko crumbs. Okay? But if you're not concerned about gluten, by all means, use all-purpose flour and regular panko crumbs. I actually prefer panko because they do give a lot more crispiness. And so with the other things that we're going to use this evening, we're going to use some smoked paprika, garlic powder, not garlic salt, onion powder, not onion salt. We're going to use a little bit of salt, and we're going to use some black pepper. Now, oftentimes when I make this recipe, I will also add some cumin, some coriander, and some allspice to it, just to kind of kick it up a notch. Because the thing is, this is what is going to be, the cauliflower is going to be, the cauliflower is going to be immersed in this dredge, right? And then it goes into the oven. At the very end, we're going to toss it in Afkave's maple jerk glaze. But I want to make sure that there's really flavor going all the way through it. So that's why I make sure when I make my dredge that I really season it, not with a lot of salt, but with a lot of seasonings, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut up this cauliflower, okay? And so we're going to use a sharp knife, and we're going to get in there. Now, you want to cut these in bite-sized pieces. You don't want them too small because you don't want when they hit that high heat that they turn into nothing, but then you don't want them too big either. So the first thing I do is I just cut off that core, and then I just go around and cut off the other little leaves in there. This cauliflower is more on it's on the smaller side. This is good for like family snacks. If you were doing something like, for example, for like you're watching a football game, you're gonna have a lot of people over, you probably are gonna want to do a bigger one or do a couple of them. Wow, I'm sorry, folks. I am in New Orleans. I just came in. It is hot, and I haven't cooled down this yet. My apologies. Okay, so what we're just gonna do with a sharp knife, be careful, and just cut your little florets. Okay, just cut them. Cut as close to the base as possible. And if they're still a little big, no problem. We can then just turn around and cut them in half. So I'm just gonna like systematically go around and cut. All right. All right. So we've got that all cut up. A couple of them escaped from me. And you know, it really depends on how big you want them. I'm gonna cut some of these in half. Again, like I said, it's your choice to how big you want them. Yep, there we go. That's good. So I'm gonna push this aside. And now we're going to make our dredge. We've got our bowl here. I've got about a cup of my gluten-free flour. I'm just gonna put that in the bowl. To that, I'm gonna add some smoked paprika. Again, you add the amount that you want. My best friend hates smoked paprika, so then you can just use regular paprika. But the point is to prepare a well-seasoned dredge. Black pepper, and we've got some garlic powder, and I'm gonna do, it calls for a teaspoon of salt, so that's gonna go in there. To that, I'm gonna add some plant milk. Tonight I have some cashew milk. And I'm gonna add this to it, mix it up. You don't want it too thick, but you don't want it too thin either. And if you don't have enough, feel free to supplement by adding a little water, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm using a whisk. There we go, just add a little more. If anybody remembers how they used to make batter for fried chicken, it's the same type of thing. If you never made fried chicken, but you made veggie chicken, it's the same type of thing. Well, I really did a poor job of measuring my flour because I have to really add water to this. Okay, here we go. So I probably had about a cup and a half of flour instead of a cup, so that's why I had to add so much. So, but you all know 1 cup of flour, 3/4 cups of plant milk. Those are the measurements. And you know what? I actually think you may have to adjust a little bit because this is gluten-free. I think that's what's happening. because my tested measurements are with regular flour. So I think that's what's happening because gluten-free flour has things like tapioca starch and things like that in it. So I think that is what is happening, folks. So if you use gluten-free flour, remember to have extra milk and or water to thin it out. All right, I think we're good now. All right, there we go. Now we can move on. So what we're gonna do, move this out the way. We have got a baking sheet that we have lined with parchment paper. You can spray it with some nonstick if you want to, but you don't have to. And we're just going to dredge our cauliflower florets in this mixture and then just place it on our parchment paper, like so. Can you see that? Now, something that's suggested, again, is you can always do panko. If I do panko, what I would really do is I kind of would like sprinkle it on the top and not toss it, because when you toss it in there, it like sucks up some of this batter. And I don't know that that's the best thing. So last week I was trying to do a giveaway, but everybody was being shy online. I don't know if people feel like trying out again this week. If there's anybody online who would like to try, I'm going to ask a question about myself. If you've been following me, you should know this because it's something that I talk about quite frequently. And that is, what is my heritage? Where are my parents from? You can answer that. Where are my parents from? And the reason I'm doing this one by one and not throwing everything in there is I want to make sure that these are well coated. And you know, food is a love language, so we shouldn't rush with it. We should take our time with it. People can tell when you've taken your time creating something that they are going to enjoy. Oh, wow. I need to turn that off. Oh, bear with me tonight. Okay, I'm back. We'll continue breading our cauliflower. That one fell apart. So far we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 of these. We'll probably end up with like about 16 of them. And this is great because when you do these, you know, you can put some carrot sticks on the plate. You can put some celery sticks on the plate. It doesn't just have to be the cauliflower. You can do it just like they do traditional wings. And they do some dip and a few other things. And we're almost done. Of course, you can do the smaller pieces as well. All right. Okay. Rinse my hands. Okay, so let's take a look at this, see what we've got. So this is what it looks like. Tennessee, hey Laura. Wait, Laura, you thought my parents were from Tennessee, or are you from Tennessee? Kathy Patterson, you know you cannot play because you're my cousin. Okay. So can we see this? Let's take a look at this. These are our cauliflower wings, and we have dredged them in a mixture of gluten-free flour. and some plant milk. And I add a little bit of water to stretch it out. And remember, if you use gluten-free flour, you're probably going to have to use more liquid than the ingredients, because gluten-free flour actually has things like tapioca starch in it, and it's super absorbent. So it sucks up, looking in the wrong place, it sucks up that liquid. So remember that. So, just add a little bit, add it as you go, but make sure that you have some extra liquid. So these are done. And let's see, what should I do? I have some that are in the oven baking now. I've probably got about 5 more minutes till I take them out. But let's talk, folk. Let's talk a little bit. So, there's been a lot of talk about coronavirus and vaccines, et cetera, and I'm not going to get into that. But what I want to talk about is health. And I want to talk about the fact that a lot of what we are dealing with in terms of infection, in terms of disease, is exacerbated because of our health. Okay? I'm not speaking against or for anything. The only thing that I'm going to speak on is our responsibility for our health. And I'm preaching to myself because it's something that I struggle with as well. But the reality is our bodies are temples. We are given one temple. And just as we are to be diligent with our time, with our talent, with our treasure, we are to be diligent with our temple as well. And I can honestly not think of many things that we abuse as much as we do our temple. I have been sharing with you all that it's something that I have been struggling with. I tend to go extreme, and I'm either on top of it or I'm not. And I realize that I have been very fortunate that I have not fallen sick from a myriad of things, but I need to be more diligent. And we all need to be more diligent about our diets, what we eat, what we do. We need to make sure that we're consuming water. Water is an incredible elixir. It purges your system. It keeps your cells. It helps them to regenerate, all of those things. And we take them for granted. We need to get away from the things that do not serve us. There are some of you that I'm sure that are soda fans. They love soda and they love pop or whatever. Did you know that carbonation leaches calcium from your bones? Did you know that? Carbonation leaches calcium from your bones. And that's not only found in soda, right? There's people that drink sparkling water. Though it leaches calcium from your bones. And there are particular demographics that already have issues with malabsorption of calcium. So if you're drinking soda and things like that, you're exacerbating the problem. We have to get to a place where we eat. Yes, you can enjoy healthy food, can be delicious, but we have to get to a place where we are eating for health primarily. Okay, and the other things come second, but we need to remember that. Let me check my oven, see what's going on there. Okay. All righty. And now I'm going to put these other ones in. We have got to be stewards of our health. We've got to be better stewards of our health. We've got one body, and there's so much going on. There are people that are going down from this COVID that you hear they were in perfect health, and there are other people that have had pre-existing conditions, and they go down as well. So to me, it makes sense that we would arm ourselves as best as we can, be prayerful, and do what we have to do in addition to other things if you so choose. But health is key to healing. So here are our wings. This is what they look like after 25 minutes. After 25 minutes in the oven at 425, you all are going to see some panko breadcrumbs on there. I did put some of those in there. And ooh, they're actually nice. You hear that? They're actually nice and crunchy. Who needs to deep fat fry these? Huh? Who? We don't need to do that. So I'm just going to drop these now in my bowl. Now it goes without saying that you should do these as close to when you're going to serve them, because they're not going to maintain their crunchiness long, but they will maintain their crunchiness. But you know, that's not something that you fix ahead of time. If you have people coming over, get everything else out on the table, get your big bowl ready for your tossing, put these in at the last minute. So what we are going to do now is we are going to use what? Afkave maroon maple jerk glaze. I love this because it is spicy sweet. It pays homage to the Caribbean, which is where my mother is from. And so I'm just going to kind of squeeze this on here. I don't want to drench it. I just want to give it a nice light coat. And I'm just going to use this and make sure it gets all in there. It smells divine. Smells so good. And this is, look at this. This is vegetables. These are vegetables that we are transforming into a sticky, icky, spicy, sweet nibble. You can eat this without any guilt. Now, remember, I said if you want to, you could deep fry these. You could even air fry these. But what we have done this evening is we have baked them at 425 degrees in our oven. And you all, we haven't even added any fat to this. No fat. So now, let's plate. I'm going to put these. These are going to be good. We're just going to pile them up. Just going to pile them up on this plate. We've got some crunchies in here. You know, sometimes I try to drag this show out, but I actually think it's good that you see how quickly these dishes come together. So you realize that it's not difficult for you to do it. I would say from start to finish, this would take you about 30 minutes. I'm just going to drizzle some of the sauce that is in the bottom of our bowl over this. That crunchy was delicious. And of course, we have to make it beautiful. Is it okay to marinate the cauliflower longer? You're talking about prior to baking it or after it's been baked? Prior to baking it, I think you're fine. After, no. So I've got some scallions I've chopped up, and my favorite green cilantro on top of that. And ladies and gentlemen, what is it, 8:23 now? Maple jerk cauliflower wings. Folk, eating healthy is not difficult. You just have to plan. You just have to plan. And your family, you are worth it. You are worth it. Of course, thank you, Phyllis. Of course, you can stop by. You know, every day when I come home from work, I have to turn right onto the street. No, it doesn't matter what type of alternative milk you use. I tend to go for the heavier milks like the cashew milk and nut milks like that, but it really doesn't matter. Every day when I come back from work, I make a right onto the street and there's a backed up line. And I always have to remind myself, the backed up line is not for the turn. Guess what it's for? Popeyes. There's a Popeyes at the corner and there are cars 10, 15 deep lined up in the evening going to Popeyes to get their meal. Maple jerk, cauliflower wings, baked, no added oil, full of flavor and nutrition. Crispy, delicious. I'm just gonna bite it so you can hear the crunch. You hear that? There's no need, folks. You are worth it. Your family is worth it. We're gonna figure this out together. Stewards of our temples. Woo! Woo! That's heavy on the jerk, a lot on the maple. But here's the other thing, folks. Of course, I would love you to support me and buy this. However, you can use any glaze on top of this. You can use, goodness, that's not the pepper. It went down the wrong way. And the perspiration you're seeing isn't the pepper either. I'm 50. I'm a woman of a certain age. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying. You can use any type of glaze you want to. If you want to toss this in barbecue sauce, you can. If you want to toss this in a Thai chili sauce, you can. You can toss it in whatever glaze you want and it will be delicious. So, folk, thank you for joining me this evening. I hope that you will try this. I want to see your pictures. Maple jerk, cauliflower wings. You can go to afkavefoods.com and order this. As a matter of fact, if you order it tonight, I'll send you 2 bottles for the price of 1. How's that? Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining me, folks. Bye-bye.